again to another Java short tutorial, and in this tutorial I will be explaining how to use a for loop to repeat certain pieces of code. So for that I'm first going to create a new class, example 6 in this case. So there we are, once again with the main method. So typically we want to use a for loop to repeat certain pieces of code. So say for example I would like to repeat this system.out.print line that says how brown cow. Normally it would just print once, and if I want to repeat it I would have to do it twice. This gets a bit inefficient after a while. So say if we want to repeat this sentence, like say for example 10 times, we can use a for loop for that. So how do we do a for loop? Well, first we start by keying in the word for. We open and close a bracket, and then we declare a variable, usually a counter, for example integer I, with a value of 0, which will represent the starting value of the loop. So basically the loop counter will start with a value of 0. After the declaration of that variable we do a semicolon, after which we do the control expression. So we say keep on repeating while I is smaller than 10, again followed by a semicolon. Then lastly we need to do a expression that increases the value of I or modifies the value of I. So in this case I'm going to say I++ to indicate that after every loop I would like I to be increased by 1. So like with the if statement, I'm going to open an accolade and close an accolade, and in between those two accolades of the for loop I'm going to put the expression that needs to be repeated. So now if I run this, you will see that how brown cow is repeated 10 times. To make this a little bit more clear, I am going to add the number of I, the value of the counter, in front of it. So let's run once more. So as you can see, it now says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because we start counting with 0. So 10 times essentially. There's a few variations of, for example, how this can be done. If I want to count backwards, I can for example say if integer I is 10, keep on looping while I is larger or equals to 0, increase I by 1 every time. So now let's see what happens. So basically it counts down from 10 until 0, essentially looping 11 times. If I were to say as long as it's larger than 0, it will loop 10 times to be exact, because it will no longer loop while I is bigger than 0. Okay, just to fully clarify how this works, let me just run this one more time in debug mode, so you can see the values change. But for that I'm not going to loop 10 times. I'm only going to loop 5 times. Else it will take too long. So debug as Java application. Yes, I want to run this in debug mode. So essentially let's go in the loop one line. So we have the value I is 5, and the first system.out is done. Then it goes back to the for loop. It will check if I is still bigger than 0. On the next step it will be changed to 4, so no, it is still bigger than 0, so repeat again. Go back, reduce I by another one, so 3, it's still bigger than 0. So again we will be allowed to print reduce I one more time via the loop, so it's 2 now. So again still bigger than 0, and so on and so forth until I reaches a value of 0, and then the loop is terminated. And that's all as far as the for loop is concerned, pretty much. One other alternative way of doing this is by declaring the variable outside the loop, but it's very much a minor difference. So that's all for the for loop. See you next time.